Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. Now, there is some good news on my personal end, because it turns out that I did spend some money in Zydrine and Megaside a few months ago, and I made 1.6 billion in profits of that. I think I spent a bit over half a billion in each when they were very, very low. So probably when they first hit their bottoms of close to 400 and 700. So that was a very nice surprise. During the few weeks that we've been out of the wormhole, I've actually been consolidating all of my assets because our exits were all over the place. I had stuff in every single trade hub, so I sold almost everything that I had. I tried to consolidate and I bought 3-4 plex. I think I bought 3 of them. I already had one, so now I have 4 plex ready for when that one will go up on speculation next. I do think that plex has found its new stable price at the current situation, and that the next time it goes up on speculation, maybe because of, I don't know, it could be anything that could trigger this, just like a CCP intervention triggered the Zydrine and the Megaside markets. I do think it will see 1 billion the next time it does happen. So I'm just going to slowly prepare for that. And I thought for today's EVE Talk, why not introduce you guys with my current situation, what I've done in the last few weeks, which is basically sell as much of the loose assets that I had lying around as I felt comfortable with, invest that back into some plex, and of course I made some nice profits off of the Zydrine and the Megaside. Anyways, let's get started on the market here. So let's go to the plex 30-day pilot license, and that's at 150. Plex went up a little bit. When I made the banner, there were still a few plex for sale at 810, I think, but now we're looking at almost 812 million for a plex. It's a little bit of a break in the trend. If we go for the 1 month chart, you can clearly see that the stable month at around 800 million has been, that's basically been broken here with an uptick from the 5-day moving average, also already starting to pull the 20-day moving average out of its straight line, horizontal line. So is this the beginning of something? I don't know. We are just before the summer, so I actually don't think that this will last all that long or go all that high, because the summer tends to be a time when activity in EVE decreases a little bit, which usually puts a little bit of pressure on the plex price. But yeah, it is here already, 10-11 million more than a few weeks ago, or than the stable period we've known for plex. Let's take a look at the multi-pilot trading license. That one knew a bit of an up spike last week. We did see that last week, so that's pretty interesting. But they are still selling, well, they're selling for 812 million. So the sell orders have joined the plex orders. The buy orders though, 778. That's quite a bit lower, I think. Yeah, 804 for the plexes. So that's interesting. Much bigger margin on the multiple pilot training certificate than on the plexes themselves, but both of them have rejoined at around 811 million for a plex or a multiple pilot training certificate. So interesting that we saw the spike happen last week in the training certificates, and that this week we've got it in the plex. It's maybe something that we need to keep in mind, and if it tends to happen again and again, let's say that in a few weeks training certificates go down significantly all of a sudden, maybe we could see again a delayed response in the plex market itself, because it's so much bigger in volume. It could be that it takes a bit longer. Something like that is possible. It could be an interesting metric, honestly. Adding these training certificates could turn out to be quite a good decision. And next up we've got the body risk gobs, which are also taking off, and that increase I think had started last week. So yeah, everything that's used to which is bought with real money is going up a little bit. Interesting. Next up we'll have a look at the minerals, and that's 430. Let's start off with titanium here, which is taking a bit of a dive off of, again, just like with the plex that were very stable. Titanium stayed stable at around 6 ISK, but now we are going down. 5.7 is already the price now for the sellers. Pretty big order here as well, 85 million. Then we've got 50 million, 250 million. We do still have some buyers left though. 290 million, 50 million, 146, 100, 500 here. So there is still a little bit of of a base for the price not to decline too low, but it is already starting to go down to like the 550 mark. So titanium seems to be on a downtrend, probably because of the announced changes for the April release. So this is all CCP Fuzz is doing, not good for the high-sec miners. This is the pyrite chart. That one was doing well in the first half of the month, but now again 5-day moving average crossed the 20-day moving average, and now it's going down quite significantly. We're already looking at 12.2 ISK for pyrite, 12.12 for the buyers, and the numbers here 22, 23. Well, this is pretty much in line. I would say that this is no oversupply just yet either, but the price is obviously going down because of the changes. Next up we've got Mexalon. Exactly the same thing here. It tried for just a second. The 5-day moving average just tried to eke above the 20-day moving average, but to no avail. That was just a single data point causing this. Mexalon also going down. Current sellers are at 54.5, and we were close to 60 ISK before this, so yeah, definitely the high-sec minerals going down across the board. And next up here we've got Isogen. Again, in like the first half of the month before this we were stable at 126, a last hurrah up to 132, but now the downtrend seems to be set in here as well. Even the latest order at 123.38 is a pretty big one, 10 million units, which is pretty much in line with the biggest buy orders as well. There is obvious pressure on the high-sec minerals here at the moment. So yeah, if you're mining, I've been doing just a little bit of mining as well on downtimes in EVE Online when the other guys are not here, or I don't feel like risking my my skin in wormhole space, but the efficiency is going down for that, so may just go back into some exploration or even missioning if I just want some real ISK. Let's take a look at Noxium, which had been trending like a high-sec mineral, and it still seems to be doing so. So Noxium is also going down. 625, look at that, that's actually a pretty big gap between those two sell orders. The pressure is obviously there, and we're still talking 200,000 units, 1.7 and 2 million here. So no huge oversupply, but the pressure is on the price at the moment, and it's going down. Next up we've got yeah, I'll take a look at Zydrine here. That one is still taking off, and so when the first big spike up happened, we had noticed that someone had invested like 90 billion ISK or something like that in the mega site even after the spike. Turns out that they were not completely wrong, because Zydrine is currently going for 1600 ISK pretty much, with the bottom at 400. That's 4 times the price. That is quite steep. I think if I go for a 6-month chart, yeah, that's actually a pretty beautiful chart right here. Also turns out that I sold a little bit early, but I'm actually okay with it, you know, 2 plex in pure profit because of something that I've forgotten about. Is really awesome, but yeah, still going up here. This Zydrine already 4 times the bottom. That is a huge move. Next up we've got Megasite here, so that looks pretty similar. Current sell orders are 2300 ISK with the bottom at 700. That is more than 3 times the price. So yeah, Megasite, Zydrine, we could still have made a move last week, and we still would have made like 20-25% profit, I think. So where will this end? I don't know. If I remember correctly from my time in EVE, I have seen Megasite as high as like 2,800, maybe even 3,100 as a very high price for Megasite on spikes or on bad times during nullsec wars. So this is not completely out of the ordinary, but of course, because we've had this downtrend for like a whole year or more, this is of course quite a big change all of a sudden. Here's the 1-year chart. So we definitely crossed the point of 1600. That was before a lot of the changes here. I think, yeah, we're back into quite a speculative mode for the nullsec minerals, and it's not done a bad thing to the price or to the people that held the stocks of these. Look at that, pretty damn huge. Maybe I should also quickly take a look at volumes. That one is actually decreasing, so it does look like we'll probably like we'll probably start to see this slow down quite a little bit next. And here is the side line. You can see again the volumes decreasing back towards more normal volumes. So pretty interesting. Next up, I'll just quickly touch on Morphite, but that's actually doing okay, and it's its own category of minerals because it's tied to Tech 2 production. Alright, let's take a look at the Tech 1 ships then. 10, 15 for that. Here's the Apocalypse, still doing quite okay. I feel that there are two forces at work here at the moment. The first one is of course the increase in non-stick mineral prices, and maybe also a little bit the decrease in high-stick mineral prices, of course. But I think there is a bit of upward pressure on the price because of that. On the other hand, of course, we can still produce ships without the change to the blueprint copies or to the blueprints that will almost double the need for Megasite and for Zadrine. So that's putting a downward pressure on it at the moment. I think it's very hard to say which force is actually going to win out. That will depend quite a bit on I think on the exact change on the blueprints, because it's not just going to be a doubling across the board. I do think that larger ships will have a bit less, and maybe bigger ships a bit, or smaller ships a bit more. Depending on, I'm not sure if there's a dev blockade on it just yet, but depending on the exact change on that, the pressures could go either way, you know. If it's not as big of an increase in needed materials as people expected, we could see Megasite and Zadrine go back down quite a little bit, and we could see a negligible effect on the Tech 1 ships. On the other hand, of course, if it's a really drastic change, then we could really start to see them going up as well. Here's the Caracal off of another spike, which was probably due to some big buying, but this is already starting to normalize again. The question is, will it be able to go back down towards like 10.5 million, which I would put as an average? It's gonna be hard with quite a bit of demand at 11.3 million for Caracals all of a sudden, but it is going down, so we'll see in the next few weeks, I think, if it can go back to a situation that we had for the last 6 months or so. Here's the Dominix. That one is going down quite a bit actually. Here we see the 5-day moving average crossing the 20-day moving average. We're looking at 201, a bit less than that on the sellers, and less than 195, which I would put at the normal price for the buy orders. So we are definitely going back towards the medium for Dominixes. Here is then the Myrmidon. Still trending up a little bit compared to before. So 54 million for the sellers, 50 million for the buyers. If I go for like a 6-month chart, the average, well, 51 million. So it's not too bad just yet. The fact that it's been able to maintain itself for more than a week is a little bit weird, but we also have 15, 24, 14. All of these are pretty recent, so I do think that the industry machine has yet to catch up with the Myrmidon increase in price, but that it will normalize soon. Here's the Stabber, taking off quite nicely as well. 6 months, look at how stable it was, and then now all of a sudden quite a bit of variation in the Stabber, so I'm guessing that people are preparing some Stabber fleets. Let's have a look here. 40, 20, 96, is that pretty recent? That is pretty recent, so the response is coming in already. This will put pressure on the price very quickly here, and so I do think we'll go back down. Will it reach 10 to 10.5 again? Hard to say with all of those mineral changes, of course. Here's the Tornado. That's pretty decent, up a little bit for 6 months, but if you put the average at like 65 million, we still have buy orders below that, and 67 for the sell orders. Look at the volumes though, some pressure right here, 196, 123 and 20 of them, so that's not insignificant. And finally the Vexor, also taking off. There is a bit of response in quite a few ships, and all of them are up, which I do think is normal considering what we're seeing in the non-stick mineral market. So that one goes from 11.2 to 11.9, almost 12 million I think, 11.8, so it's already going to start to go down. The volumes are there as well. Look at that, all of this is pretty recent, 102, 27, 20, 46, 64, so industry response to this vexor increase in price very fast. By next week I do think we'll be close back to 11 million again. So okay, take one market. Quite a few of them are actually going up all of a sudden, but I do think that we'll be back into normal territory quite soon on them. We'll have to wait and see what the mineral market is going to have of an effect on the Tech 1 chips. Next up, Tech 2, 1510. Let's take a look at some of these 6-month charts here and see if we can spot anything interesting. Basilisk, unfortunately, I would say no. It's still too much on a high average and too stable to say that you should invest in this. Here's the Golem chart. Was it last week that it went up quite a bit? I think so, and now it looks like it's going down quite a bit all of a sudden. Let's take a look at the prices. 1.1 billion for the buyers, 1.136 billion for the sellers. Gap closed quite a bit. And I do think that we saw higher prices like last week, but that people with stocks have been trying to dump them at those higher prices, putting quite some activity all of a sudden in the Golem market. Look at that. Yeah, all of these are less than 2 days old, so that's quite a bit coming to the market all of a sudden, putting that pressure here. The question is this going to be able to maintain itself? That's hard to say, of course. The Golem market is not that big, but if you time it correctly on another spike and you're the first one to bring them to the market when the spike does happen, you could have quite a bit of profit all of a sudden of the trade of one chip. But I must admit it feels quite risky, something like a Golem market. Next up, the Guardian here. Unfortunately, that trend up here quite short-lived. So are we going back down already? Yeah, there's still quite a few of them on the market. If you buy on the next dip, you could be doing okay if not too many of them come back in. So I have a few sitting around as well as an investment. I'm gonna have to wait for another spike before I sell them, but if you can pick a few up on the borders, I think that could be okay. Here's the Hound chart, again still very low, at least it's coming off of the bottom. So now it's all about keeping an eye on the volumes, which are still a little bit too big to say that it's going to spike. But once this starts to dry up, you know, the investments at close to 16 million in Hounds could really start to pay off. So if you have them already, which I think if you want to invest in these, you should have already. But otherwise, you could still, I think, buy a few and end up with a bit of profit. Next up, the Manticore here. After a bit of a spike, look at that, starting at 22, though ending at 25, which is okay on an investment that size. We're already going back down quite quickly, so risky the Manticore because of its higher consensus price at the moment. I don't like having to pay more than 20 million for an investment in a covered up ship. Next up, the Nemesis. Ooh, that one is actually going down quite steeply. 17.5 for the buyers, and the volumes, they're slowly drying up, so this could be okay. This could be primed for you buying just a few of them, and then once this dries up right here, people come in to pick them up. This could be primed for another bit of a spike up of a few million. It's possible on the Nemesis, but again, no sell opportunity. I'm not spotting any of those. Here's the Olneros. Again, below 150. That could be okay to invest in them considering the rest of the chart, but definitely not to sell them. And here's the Paladin. Yeah, after its leg down, dipping to 0.9 billion, we are going back up, almost a billion for the sellers right here. So what is that in change? Probably more than 70 million all of a sudden, but the investment is quite big. So we would, I think, need a bit more of an upswing before I would say, yeah, you can sell this. Unfortunately, all of this is pretty recent, so it's a very competitive market. Very hard, I think, to make actual money in this Marauder market. I may actually drop it pretty soon as a category. Here's the Purifier, also dipping to a very low of 16.5 million. In fact, buyers even below that, but we are starting to see the first signs of some recovery in this covered ups market. So yeah, for some investments this could actually be good, even medium term. I'm actually considering some of this. You can see that the margin is widening up as well, but yeah, maybe picking up a few purifiers or something like that could be an okay investment. And here is the scimitar, unfortunately, also going way down. So for the investments at the moment, I would say you need some patience. There are not a lot of sell opportunities, but quite a few that you could purchase medium and long term, because I do think that scimitars for 125, even 128 million from the buy orders is not that bad, considering where they were 6 months ago. So why not? But it's all longer and medium term, I think, at the moment. The quick trades, I'm not spotting them. If you have any of them, feel free to post that in the comments. I'd happily switch out Golem and Paladin for a few very active ships at the moment. Next up, Tech 3, 2025. This is the Confessor, so that one, after that little spike, people pointed that out to me. They're going to make the cost of manufacturing them a little bit higher, and that's the reason for the spike. I'd heard it, I'd even registered that in my brain, but I'd completely forgotten about it by the time I made Eve Talk. So absolutely correct, they're gonna cost a bit more to produce, but as you can see, the Tech 3 industry has so much room for stuff that the pressure is right back on. Here, look at the volumes here, look at the pressure on the price. And then if I go for a 6-month chart, you can actually see that it's hardly that noticeable. Next up here is the Legion. Yeah, a little bit of an uptick, quite interesting. Maybe my fault as well. I pointed out last week, I think, that we were very close to the bottom prices at the start of the uptrend the last time, and so maybe people just came in here and started buying quite a few of them at these very good prices. Still, you can see that the volumes are there, despite the fact that this spike up here happened. The volume spike happened here as well in the Legion. We're still seeing 37, 19 and 14 of them coming to the market, so the oversupply is a fact, but I guess that at the right times you get some big players moving in for a lot of them. So my expectation is that this spike up here is not going to last too long. Here's the Loki, no spike for that. And yet, oh, well, actually, yeah, there is a spike for that, because 148, that's quite a bit higher. Yeah, it has yet to materialize on the chart. But this will actually meet the 20-day moving average once again. Still 29.32, the pressure is there as well from the supply, so I honestly expect this to be quite short-lived. Next up here we've got the Proteus, hardly noticeable here. Price is 138, so yeah, the Proteus, not such a big move on that. It was quite a bit higher than the others as well, I think. Certainly than the Legion. Look at that, below 135. So I guess this triggered a few buy orders. Here is this Vapul, again spike up because of the announcement to the increased production costs, but still 28, 46, 9. Oversupply, it is definitely here. And here's the Tengu, a little spike up here as well, breaking the 20-day moving average, but I think volumes will speak volumes as well. 49, 10, 8, 8, 7, it is definitely there. So we've got a bit of a volume spike, well, sustained, I would say. Bigger volumes that seem to have been able to sustain itself for quite a while, but I think oversupply will take over quite soon, and that we will be going back down, if not next week, the week after that. So yeah, Tech 3 market, be very careful. I think big players, when they see them dropping to the bottom, do come in for a few fleets, but it's still not looking that good in my opinion because of the oversupply situation. And then for the extra material or the extra good this week, I'm taking a suggestion. So 23.55, I'm going to check out the Vexor Navy issue. So that was something I wrote it down, I think, from the comments. So faction cruiser, Navy faction, Vexor Navy issue. It's of course a very good ship as well, that can maybe be used if you can't fly the Ishtar just yet. Look at that. Yep, it's true. Quite a nice little spike here. taking off of 72 million. We're currently looking at 80 million, so it's okay, 10% increase, so it's not that big. We can see though that the buy orders have followed suit, so this does seem to be quite sustained here as well. But Vexor Navy issue has known better times as well, closer to 82 million just a few months ago. So I would not put this out of range of normal market activity. You can also see that it reached the bottom and then it went up quite a bit. This is pretty nice actually. A faction ship, and it's behaving quite a bit like the Tech 2 market that I do like for trading, although the spikes here 78 to 72, 6 million, that's just a little bit too low, you know, that's less than 10%. That's actually, I feel that Tech 2 ships do quite a bit better on this end here. 74 to 82, again 8 million, yeah, that is 10%. So some of these spikes are quite okay, but most of them seem to be just a little bit below the limit. On the other hand, of course, they are there as well. So this is decently spiky. You can probably make some money on this as well. It's probably quite a bit easier to produce this stuff as well, if you know where to get the resource for that. It's not like you need all of the Tech 2 products for something like this, if I'm not mistaken. Let's press show info, then I should be able to get that blueprint. Yeah, look at that. It's just minerals, so this feels quite a bit more approachable to actually produce some of that stuff and try to time your production on the market, something like that. It could be quite interesting. Let's quickly touch on maybe some of the other Navy faction cruisers and see if we can see a trend, but I can't really do it. Here is the Stabber, nice little spikes right here, very stable period at a high point of 53 since then, so it's quite a different chart, obviously. Here's the Side Fleet issue, very stable price on an uptrend for 6 months from 50 to 60 million, so not that big, but decently stable. This one here is the Osprey Navy issue, again quite a few decent spikes here, from 70 to 80 million or above 80 million. That's not bad, but now here we've got a stable period, but on the low end at 65 million. So pretty much the opposite of the Stabber chart here. Here is the Omen Navy issue. That one is going down quite substantially at a very low point considering where it comes from 6 months ago. Executor Navy issue, pretty much stable at 75 with a couple of nice spikes here once again. This is an interesting market because of all of its variety, I would say. Here's the Caracal Navy issue. Can you imagine having produced a few at this bottom, being able to sell right there for 95 million? Probably quite a good margin on the mineral investment. This is probably trends with faction warfare, stuff like that. This could be very interesting for the people that like to do some action in faction warfare, but also have like an industrial alt. This market could provide some opportunities for that. Again here, Ogre Navy issue, look at the drop downs 6 months ago, and then pretty stable at 45 million with one decent spike at 55. Some of them are good for speculation, some of them are good for production at the right times. Very interesting suggestion here, although it's very hard to pinpoint it, of course, because as I've said, it seems to be quite varied in its behavior across the board. So yeah, pretty good suggestion. I like some variety here and there, so thank you very much for that. If you have other extra goods that you want me to check at the end of Eve Talk, if you have like a story behind why you want it, feel free to post that in the comments. I do try to take these suggestions and follow them. I write them down whenever I can anyways. That's it for this Eve Talk, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time.